Hoe zitten we met Mary of Victor? Starten we of wachten we
let's wait a couple more minutes.
Yeah, okay. Because I see already. Okay. Yeah, there's still some people coming. Okay. It's a busy time of the year for all of us, because summer is approaching and we want to finish as many as possible stuff, clear our agenda so that we can at least have a relaxing holiday. For me, it's still waiting until August, end of July. So, but we'll take we'll enjoy July and take advantage to catch up with certain things we were behind. But first things first, today we have our BeCommerce Logistics Summit. It's the 8th edition. Yes, BeCommerce has always been worried and occupied and concerned about what's going on with logistics side, because without logistics, there's no e-commerce. Let's make it clear. Same wise for payments. So logistic is a key element in our chain, in our e-commerce chain. So today we are hosting our 8th edition, and we are, thanks to BPost, powered by BPost, we will talk about the future of the last mile. We will also talk about our last results of the BeCommerce Market Monitor, which is performed on a quarterly basis by the team of JFK, Caitlin and Freya. So welcome to you all. I guess we can start, no, Victor?
Yes, we're good to go.
We're good to go? Okay. Yeah. So welcome to all of you. Welcome. So we are, as a way of being recognized to our whole community, we always welcome also our new partners and our new members and partners. And so a special thanks again today to BPost for powering this webinar, and also big thank you to the other partners for BeCommerce, that is this year MasterCard especially, and next to BPost also National Loterij and ADN, who make the study possible, and the BeCommerce Market Monitor study possible, and Cofidis and IP Label. Thanks again. And we welcome especially our new commerce in our community. We have again new partners. eBay is important. They will host our cross-border summit for this year, and together with FedEx. It will be a joint initiative by two players, FedEx and eBay. And we are also welcoming myparcel.be, which is regrouping several logistical players, amongst other BPost. We are also welcoming new members, Zalando, Wolky Shop, Gummibo, Krediet Nodig, Ventilatie Shop. So we hope they will enjoy our community and get the necessary output of what they are looking for in this world of e-commerce. And we, I think we are good to go. If you want to tweet a quote or an image, just choose the hashtag BCLS2021. Thank you all. And then I'm very happy to give the floor to Michel Deflore. He is the Vice President of Marketing with BPost and in charge of the parcel business. And we worked last year together with Michel also on our Shopping 100. So we can say that we know each other a little bit. And we are very happy to welcome here and to hear what he is going to talk us about, the future of the last mile. Here you go. You have the floor, sure. Michel.
Thank you. Thanks for the introduction. Future of last mile. In the end, we all know what this is about. It is about sustainability. It's about robotics. It's about using big data to optimize deliveries, etc. But I don't have a crystal ball. And anyway, when it comes on the future, with the disruption we had the last year, with COVID, it becomes very difficult to do kind of forecasting of what will happen when. So rather than staying with these very generic trends, I would like to come back on what happened over the last year and some actual trends we saw in Belgium, and extrapolate from that. So based on some very concrete trends that here happened locally. What happened over the last year, and I would like to summarize that in three big trends that we see here and that I will cover. The first one is the behavior and the preferences when it comes on the people that do e-commerce buying, on how they receive their goods. The second one, the overall shift towards omni-commerce in the Belgian industry. And the third one is, well, a lot of people were adopted e-commerce over the past year, which brought some new behavior overall. And let me start with the first one, delivery preference, and maybe the most obvious one. If we ask people, and this is the Belgian market, this is not BPost specific, but if you ask the Belgian people, where in the end is your purchase and where did you receive it, and we compare that, and these are the numbers of last year, and you compare that with the historic trend, well, it's not a surprise that the big majority of parcels is delivered at home. And also, it's not a surprise that that went up significantly, and therefore also the green arrow moving up. People were, a lot of them were homeworking, or were without a job. If they worked, for example, in the HoReCa, were at home anyway. So clear preference for home delivery. What dropped down because of that? Obviously, parcels normally delivered directly at work or on other addresses that people set. Now that's quite obvious. What is more interesting to see is the evolution we saw in pickup and drop-off points and the locker network. Due to the no-touch economy we were in, and people being home, people clearly avoided picking up parcels in pickup points. They preferred it being home, but we did see a significant change in the amount of parcels that have been picked up in lockers, which again can be explained in a no-touch economy. The lockers are have all the benefits of a bank contact versus a bank teller. If you go to the bank offices or the branch of the bank, you have to be in contact with people. You have to queue, etc. Lockers, no queuing, 24/7 open, and it's an anonymous and non-human transaction. So while people preferred home over Pudo, the lockers, although still very small, rather small in absolute number of parcels compared to the overall parcels that have been delivered in Belgium over the last year, went up significantly. We also saw over the last year, because I said I won't talk about sustainability, but still sustainability comes back in everything that our industry is doing right now, that gradually more and more e-commerce players really position a pickup rather than a home network as a more sustainable solution. So they actively start promoting non-home delivery as the more sustainable solution, which it obviously that's true. It is correct. Now, the last element, the last point you see here is how many people in the end order something online and do a pickup themselves in the shop of the seller. So they go to the retail chain, the retail store of the seller, and pick up their product over there. That stayed rather flat at about 1% of all purchases. Now that's an interesting one, because although it is flat, if you look at all the lockdowns we had over the last year and all the restrictions we had in retail, overall, that relatively, you would say, well, that's an increase with all the locks, with all the shops that have been closed. That's also a bit of a bridge towards the second trend we saw, is that the overall the position of the shop in e-commerce has been, well, on one hand under significant pressure, but overall everybody has used the last year to really consider, well, what is e-commerce in an omni-commerce channel. SMEs that were forced to close down obviously jumped onto the e-commerce bandwagon. And we saw a huge boost in marketplace sales, in platform sales. BPost launched Elkezak Online, where we support small and medium enterprises in launching their own e-commerce website, and in launching e-commerce. Well, we have in a couple of months more than 1,000 small and medium enterprises that adopted that used that service. But it's not only the small and medium enterprises; it's also the large chains, and overall. The large chains have been considering the role of the physical shop in the future of the physical shop for a long time already, but that accelerated over the last year, obviously, with again shops on one hand being closed, or alternatively. During the last lockdown, for example, they could stay open for a part of the time, but only for click and collect models, and that's a second trend we see here in the role of local shopping. A lot of the large retailers that now are really actively investigating click and collect models, and where you buy online and you go and pick up your purchase in the store. But also alternatively, retailers are considering how they can use their shop as a kind of fulfillment center for e-commerce. So, for example, where the shop is used as a kind of gray store to facilitate ship from store models. Ship from store in a very classical way, where the delivery is done typically combined with sustainability elements again. For example, with a bicycle from the shop nearby, either in a very structured way or in a more freelance model. I think maybe you saw it today that Gorillas is launching in Belgium, in Brussels, for example, has launched today. So where you go to a more freelance model, but that's a big evolution we see in the large retailers, click and collect, ship from store. What is the role of my physical shop in e-commerce, be it for fulfillment or be it for as a kind of pickup point? Here again, I mentioned it already. Sustainability is a driver, not the driver, but it's very often a driver. It is about efficiency. It's about convenience, time to market for a lot of retailers. But sustainability very often comes back. BePost has its ecozone in Mechelen. Soon we will launch other cities too, where we will go towards zero emission delivery. And again, that's a trend we see in Belgium, where Belgium is at par, I would say, with the rest of the market and other countries when it comes on the eco sustainability aspects of e-commerce. Something that cannot be denied. Third trend we saw is new users and new behavior. What do I mean with that? Well, over the past year, a lot of people that were not used to buying online started adopting buying online, and all trends say, and all the research says, well, they will continue, obviously. So e-commerce boosted significantly. That will come back later in this session with the market research that has been done. But brands and enterprises really also tried to target a new society, a new part of society. For example, what you see here is Burberry, the high-end luxury fashion brand that really actively uses Instagram as a sales channel, where you can buy a $1,700 bag online by clicking straight from Instagram. Obviously, that's very often linked to influencer marketing. Influencer marketing is not very new, and it's been here for a couple of years already, but this is really becoming mainstream, and again promotes the local element. Something I mentioned before, something I didn't mention before when I was talking about the SMEs that were adopting e-commerce, specifically in Belgium. If you look at all parcels that have been shipped in 2019, about 1 out of 4, I would say, parcels come from what we call long tail customers. So really smaller companies that are in e-commerce. Over the last year, that number jumped from 1 out of 4 to 1 out of 3. So that is on one hand because more Belgian companies started doing e-commerce, and more small and medium enterprises started doing e-commerce. But also in the context of the pandemic, a lot of Belgian people preferred local sales towards foreign sales, and that's a trend that will stay. So we really foresee that the local aspect of e-commerce has become more important, and these influencer marketing tactics really play into that field too, because a lot of influencers, specifically for the young people, are local people rather than the international stars. Now, obviously, if Ariana Grande or Kim Kardashian promotes something, it will have impact in Belgium too. But the big majority of these social elements, are very local, and are targeting younger people, obviously, and younger people is they are early adopters in general. And a very interesting statistics I found over there is in the UK, where now, since for the first time since the pandemic started, the pocket money of the younger people goes up again. So it goes up, but especially the part that they buy online and that they spend online goes up too. Right now in the UK, 2/3 of all pocket money is spent online. Only 1/3 is spent offline. And that is, if that is something forecasting the future, well, you clearly see that our industry has a significant growth potential. Now, I was talking about the young people. It's not only the young people, it's also the average people, normal people, older people, whatever. And then it's not about small procurements, purchases, but then it's very often about purchasing everything. If we learned one thing over the last year, it's that you can buy everything online, and that people do actually buy everything online. And over the last year, at the start of the first lockdown, people started buying everything. It was very hot at that moment. People started buying garden sets, etc., online. Over the past months, over the past weeks, well, it hasn't been very warm, but what we do see right now, over the past 2 weeks, again in our facilities, people again start buying garden sets and trampolines and barbecues and air cools and whatever. So the element, I buy small stuff online, and for the really big purchases, I go to the shop, because right now the shops are open. Again, we're past that. So people buy everything online, and as an industry, we can adapt to that. Be it big stuff, but also, for example, pharma. All pharma stuff is, all pharma players are growing significantly, because that's something people learned to buy online over the last year, and they simply continue buying that online. That is 3 big trends we see right now as evidence from really concrete evolution in the Belgian market moving forward in our industry. Thank you. I gave my email address here, so if you have any questions, feel free to contact me, or you can ask me right now if you want to, but it might be more convenient to do it offline.
That was super interesting, Michel, and I recall for all of our participants definitely that the sky is the limit. There is no sky. We can sell anything online, and we can sell it to anyone, and we should definitely not underestimate the younger generation who's spending 2/3 of their pocket money online in Great Britain already. I believe also there's a huge potential for the older generation, and this is also a gap that we still have to fill, because e-commerce might for them be the really good tool to get their stuff delivered, but we have to overcome probably some more obstacles, but it might be actually for them also a very convenient way of getting stuff delivered home.
Yes.
So I give with pleasure the floor to our next speakers, which are Caitlin and Freya. I guess many of you know Caitlin and Freya already. This is our team from GfK who is analyzing every quarter the facts and figures from the market monitor. So I give the floor to them. Let's hear what's going on in the first quarter of 2021. Do you are you on mute? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Super.
we are together in the office, so you can hear us. Okay, thank you, Sophie, for the nice introduction. As Sophie mentioned, that we are conducting a study for BeCommerce sponsored by the National Lottery, EDIAN and BPost. And this time we wanted to bring a topic that is relevant to BPost exactly, because we are having this wonderful event with the BPost, and thanks to BPost as well. So as you all know, COVID-19 had a big impact on logistic and BigCommerce. Logistic was having a hard time with the high demand on packages. That was mainly because of booming of e-commerce due to Corona, and that's why it's important to have this link between logistic and e-commerce. And we wanted to provide a little bit view on what's going to happen after Corona, based on our insights brought by BeCommerce Market Monitor to begin with. And then we will continue with the consumer insights that we provide usually for our client from GfK. So first, to begin with, we wanted to share a little bit about what happened in BeCommerce in Q1 2021 in Belgium. And about the BeCommerce Market Monitor, just briefly, in case you are not aware of it yet. It's commissioned by BeCommerce, and it's powered by National Lottery or Loterie Nationale, or ADIAN and BPost. And it's performed by us, GfK, and it's happening every quarter. And to do this, we use 3 different data sources. First, we use POS data, so sellout data we have at GfK. And for the categories that for FMCG, we use consumer scan data, where 4,000, I'm hearing myself. Okay, now it's gone. Where 4,000 respondents are scanning what they're buying in FMCG every day. And for the categories that we are not covering with POS and consumer scan data, we are using a survey asking respondents about what they bought online and offline last quarter. And we have a payment method and devices that's capturing almost everything. And from now, so Q1 2021, we updated some payment methods since this study has been running since 2015. And for now it's 2021, so it has been a lot of changes. E-commerce was growing, and it was necessary that we update the payment methods and some other methodologies in order to reflect the reality more accurately. And another thing that we did, as you can see, is the category that we are capturing. So if you look at the pink circle, then that's the updated category. What we did basically, let's take an example of media and entertainment. We didn't have a lot of subscription service in 2015. Whereas now, if you think about it, almost everything in media and entertainment is subscription. So we made the distinction very clear. We didn't measure it in a one category, but we measure it in a separate category. So physical music item versus music subscription. And there are 2 new categories that we introduced as well, naming gaming and gambling and national transportation, which is included in the services. So from this quarter, we are doing 20 B2C categories in Belgium. But this also means that when I'm presenting the figures, you have to make sure that you are taking this into account, because these changes obviously have an impact on the results. Okay, and as I mentioned, we also updated the devices and methods, and the blue circle that you are seeing are the new ones. So you can take a look at it when you have time. So the question I started was, how is Belgium e-commerce market doing in Q1 2021? And the conclusion is that online continues to grow, but I have to mention that there is a big difference across categories. So if you look at it, there's 42 million purchases done online. But if you look at it, for example, clothes or health and beauty or food increased a lot, whereas, as you already know, travel categories that decreased a lot compared to last year, Q1. For spendings, it's slight increase, but not so much. And I will talk about it a little bit in detail later, but it's mainly because of a service. And as we have other new categories and so on, I wanted to show the same slide actually, but without the new categories, so you can have a little bit of view on what is impact of the category adaptations. And you see that the purchases increases slightly less rapid, but still we have the same conclusion that online purchase is increasing. And you see that spending is slightly decreased, but not so much. So it's rather stable, I would say. So now we want to look at this. So what I did in this slide is just split into products category and services category. So we can see clearly what is driving the increase in the purchase. And if you see the graph on the left, we see that purchase increased from 24 million to 28 million, which is a great increase, which is not surprising at all because people are buying more clothes online, home and garden online, and things like that. So you can see that what is driving the increase in purchase is mainly from products. Yeah, services, you see a lot of increase, but there's a disclaimer in here. It's mainly driven by a new category. I will show you a little bit later. So if we take out the new categories that we added from this quarter, it's a bit less dramatic. And if you look at the spending, we see the similar story. It's mainly the product that's driving the increase in the spending from 1.5 billion to 2 billion. And if you look at this, services, it's 1.2 billion to 8 million now. And this is, no surprise, seeing that in Q1, not a lot of people are willing to or dare to book package holidays or going on a vacation or going on an event. So that was not really normal yet. We are hoping to see better numbers as of Q3, Q4, as we are getting more normal, vaccinated, and so on. But Q1 is a little bit early to see the going up in the e-commerce service yet. So if you look at the same result, but without the new categories, you see what I just described to you, that the increase in the purchase for the products is still there. But if you look at the services, the blue bar that you are seeing on the left side of the graph, it's a bit decreasing. And that's mainly because of travel and so on. And then spending is the same story, so I will not go through that. So I just wanted to show you in one slide what's going on with the products. And you see 3 periods. So Q1 2019, so pre-corona, and Q1 2020, which is when it just happened, and Q1 2021. So that's this year. And you can see by the color actually that in the product categories, everything is increasing based on the spending. So if you look at the clothes, it's almost double compared to Q1 2019. And if you look at the services, on the other hand, then it's mostly red, except insurances, but that's not a lot of increase. So you can see again, same conclusion over and over again. E-commerce is growing for sure in the products, and we are expecting that effect will last, as BPost has mentioned. But then it's still suffering mainly because Corona impact is still there in Q1 2021. And this has an impact on a share of products and services, obviously. So traditionally, if you look at Q1 2019, pre-corona, it was mostly services because if you think about the categories, package traveling or flight ticket and things like that are more pricey than, for example, clothes. So that had a bigger share, more than a half a little bit. But it started to decrease from as we go into the corona, and now it's 29% as well. But at the same time, we want to stress the fact that this will be probably temporary, and that we are expecting to have a little bit between Q1 2019 and Q1 2021, since services will go up again. And at the same time, we are expecting that people will have still the habit of shopping online because they had a taste of it during the corona period.
Let's have a look at how all this online shopping is paid and which devices are used. So in average, we see that actually bank contact became more popular during this first quarter of 2021, and where 6 in 10 Belgian online buyers did say to use it at least once for an online purchase. Bank contact, but as well PayPal is becoming more popular during this first quarter, and we see decreasing trends amongst credit cards. As well, if we were going to say to have a look at the share of all the payment methods within the total spending, we see that 43%, so almost half of all spending done online happened through bank contact, while only 1/4, not even 23%, is done through the credit card and 11% is done through PayPal. However, we do want to make a side remark with this. We see that bank contact still is used for the more cheaper purchases, and credit card is used for the more expensive purchases, and we do miss the travel industry, which are expensive purchases. When you go on a holiday with a family, it's a few €1,000 easily you spend. Often you do it with a credit card because there's a travel insurance included in it and stuff like that. So to be looked at what will happen in the next quarters when people will go traveling more again. If this trend will continue or go back to the original level or end up somewhere in between, we will have to see how that evolves. Looking at the different devices that are used for shopping, we see that laptop became or still is most popular. So half of the respondents used it at least once for an online purchase. Smartphone is gaining popularity. So 37%, almost 4 in 10 Belgians used it at least one for an online purchase. And then we see tablets and desktop remaining more or less stable. When we have a look at as well the shares in the total money spent online, we see that 42% was done through the laptop, 26% was done through the desktop computer, and then 18% through the smartphone, and only 9% through tablets. We see as well that laptop and desktop are traditionally used for the more expensive purchases. Again, smartphone again is more used for smaller purchases, probably quite often as well more impulse purchases. What we do see as well is that the m-commerce mobile payment methods are more and more becoming more and more important, with 1/4 now this year being used for being mobile payments and not fixed ones. So there were the results of the market monitor. Usually we do add 1 or 2 topics of interest, often linked to the topic of the summit we're speaking on. And so as well this quarter we added some questions to our multi-scope, which is our bi-weekly omnibus survey, where we can add some questions to just have a look at what is going on and how consumers feel about certain topics. And this time we used our GfK predictive benefit framework to see what are actually the most important needs of Belgium consumers when it comes to delivery services. The GfK predictive benefit framework is actually a statistically validated framework that allows us to understand all needs, all benefits consumers might be looking for within a certain product, within a certain service that is evaluated. And through the use of the 4 cornerstones you see here below, security, well-being, gratification, freedom, we make sure to cover all possible needs or benefits consumers might be looking for in these products or services. And then we can, we can really say, okay, the within this sector, consumers are looking for example, as you see here, security. So security is really important when it comes to logistics, package services and stuff like that. So secure payment options, safe shipment, all those things are really important for the Belgian consumers. As well, freedom, freedom 77% as well says that the freedom that comes with online shopping and package services are really important. So it cannot be too expensive. It has to offer excellent services online. And then next to that, we as well see that the well-being and the health of employees working for those players is really important for the consumers, as well as the offer of various payment options are as well quite important for those people. So in a summary, we see the security coming back, payment options, safe shipment, not expensive, good services, track and trace possibility was important as well, and then nice to have. So the must-haves, you really have to make sure to offer to the consumer in order to play within the sector. The nice to haves are really important as well. So the social sustainability, as well as the offering of various payment options. So, but what does this now mean for the logistic players, the logistic partners? Well, we looked at the performance of all players within the sector, and we see that actually when it comes to the security, most players already perform quite well on it. So the consumer knows payment will be secure. The consumer is quite certain of the fact that delivery will be safe, that he will have a good service, etc., etc. There's still some improvement needed on the fact that to show the consumers that you do care for the health and well-being of your employees, and that you do make a positive contribution to our society. So that's important for the consumers, and at this moment he doesn't have the feeling that this is already taken care of enough by the players within the in the sectors. So you do need to be in line with what the consumers value, and you do need to communicate to them these messages that you are taking those things into consideration for him. However, you already touched upon it during, or there was already touched upon it during the presentation of BPost, but there's as well the aspect of ecological sustainability, which is important as well, but it doesn't come back yet at this moment when we rank the most important needs of the consumers. So when we would go back to a few slides ago, you would see that they are not really, they're more at the bottom within the importance ranking than at the top. While it is an important topic, so we do feel that the manufacturers, but as well logistic partners, have a role to play in perhaps educating consumers a bit more, and to change what he values. So that this ecological sustainability becomes more and more important to him, because when you ask about it like openly, consumers will always say yes, it's important, but when he has to make the trade-off between that and other aspects, you see that he will put it to less important and make other needs that are more important to them come first. So it's important to educate consumers on those aspects as well. We did ask as well the respondents to rate the different players within the sectors on those needs, and we do see that like on most options, we do see BPost, PostNL, and Mondial Relay performing as the top 3 players on those needs. So yeah, well done for them, and it might give some incentives to the other players to increase performance on the other ones. So as a wrap up, some call to actions. We do see it often, but the COVID pandemic did accelerate the online growth. It's already been said before by BPost as well. So do make sure to not miss this train if you want to be part of it. We did saw that it was mainly for the product categories that it accelerated, but we do expect the travel and event sector to take off again very soon when measurements are every step, and when we go more and more back to practice normal society, because the consumer is really ready to come outside again and is really looking forward to it again. So once it's allowed, people will do it again. Be mobile ready. Now one quarter of all spendings is done through mobile, so mobile is becoming bigger and bigger, more important and more important. So be sure to make mobile payment possible for your services. Then for the logistic partners, we did see that it's really important to align with the consumer's needs. For security and freedom, those are really the most important needs, and we do see that the secure payment options and the safe shipping, etc., are already you're already performing quite well on it. So please make sure to maintain those things, but don't forget the social responsibility. Make sure to communicate all the efforts you make, the initiatives you take for the well-being and health of your employees, because it is important for the consumer. They do they all have heard, like we all did, some stories in the past. So make sure that they don't think it's a standard within the sector. Make sure that they know that you are the one who is doing everything you can to take care of your employees. And then to end with, further educate the consumers about how important ecological sustainability is, and communicate to them why they need to choose for a logistical partner that values this ecological contribution. So that was our contribution to the summit. Very happy to discuss further if there are any questions. These are the contact details of Freya and myself. Always open to answer more questions now or by email or phone later, whenever your questions pop up.
Thank you very much, Freya and Kathleen. This was super interesting, and we will make the presentation of as well the one of Michelle from BPost and this one from JFK accessible in the BeCommerce account of every member and partner. And I'm happy to hear those key messages that we have to really communicate what we are doing, but also empowering the consumer himself and making him aware. And that's for sure that we all have to work together in this, in these messages and these actions. Again, we are very happy that the e-commerce is on the rise. It's accelerating in the production level, products absolutely, and we can only hope, and I'm actually very confident that the services will take up again. I guess people are booking again flights. So I guess we will see a big shift already in Q2. As I hear my friends and my family, also we have the Pukkelpop who will start selling tickets yesterday. And I saw Sportpaleis is working together with Proximus Pop-Up Arena for summer festivals. So I believe that we will see already in Q2 a takeoff of the services, especially packages in travel and hotels and entertainment sector. We will now hear an interesting case story from an original brick and mortar brand who is also very strong in e-commerce. As you all might have heard, or if you did not, Hubo was our champion this year in the Shopping 100 amongst the Belgian DNA players. Their digital performance of the webshop was outstanding. And they made a huge shift upwards. So congrats again, Hubo, for getting this digital performance very well, because we all know the digital performance, the strength is a key performance indicator for the business strength overall. So I give with pleasure the floor to Bart Verbiest, who is logistic manager with Hubo and works together also with BPost. So please, I give the floor to Bart.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sophie.
We are not seeing you. Can you put on the...
No, but Sophie, if you mind, I'm not going to do that because I think I'm going to have issues with my Wi-Fi connection from home.
Okay.
Might do it, but then it's going to be blurry. So just for the safety of it.
Do you want to share the screen?
Of course, I'm doing that right now. So
okay, super. Okay, good. Welcome,
so can you
Bart.
see my slides?
Yes, we see them.
Okay, thank you for having me, Sophie. Thank you for the kind words. Also, BPost for organizing this summit and for sharing the insights. So they asked me to present a business case of Hubo. So I'm going to tell the story of Hubo, our online strategy, how it came about, and our challenges, and what will be our challenges in the fast changing environment that we are in right now. Especially around logistics, we see a lot of things changing, and these things influence our operations of our organization. So we really need to look into these things. That's why they are important. So I'm Bart Verbiest, the logistics manager of Hubo, and so I am focusing as well on the e-commerce logistics challenges we face. But before I get into the challenges we face, the trends we see, I want to start with this slide because the biggest challenge we face in the sector is the customer's expectation that DIY is now for the majority of the time. That means that you have to have it now, not later, just today. So there are a lot of situations which you can think of. Of course, you're doing a chore, for example, and you have the wrong screws at home, or your drill is too small, something like that, or you work in the garden and still you need some potting soil because you bought too few, so you go for new potting soil and you take along some fertilizer and so on and so on. Or, for example, suddenly your tap is leaking, that has to be fixed right away, so you go to the store. And although people plan a day of DIYing or gardening or something like that, most of the time they are rarely fully provided for it, and they just have to run to the store once again immediately. So DIY is by nature, by character, is a functional and immediate retailer. That's very important to know. But still, for us as well, it is important to keep up with the trends. And now, e-commerce has long ceased to be a trend. It's here to stay, also within the DIY, which is by nature a traditional sector, but e-commerce is also playing for us a vital role and is increasing every year. First off, a little history about Hubo. Probably many of the attendants know this building alongside the E313, that's our headquarters, that's our Hubo Central, as we call it. But actually, Hubo was founded 28 years ago when two entrepreneurs, which are still present and doing the day-to-day management, bought actually the Belgian stores from their they're actually Dutch, yeah, they're Dutch owners. So we bought them, all the stores, and 28 years later, we are the largest DIYer in Belgium. So there's a lot of progress that was made from the start to actually where we are right now, meaning that we are the largest DIY player, but also that we are the largest Belgian non-food retailer in Belgium. So besides one store in France, which we do have, we only have stores in Belgium. That's very important. So we only do Belgian e-commerce as well. We founded Hubo back then around two strategic pillars to solve that immediacy question that arises around DIY. The first one was proximity. In order to meet this immediacy, we at Hubo strongly focus on physical touchpoints close to where the consumers live. So we will strategically place ourselves close to residential areas where a lot of consumers live, so the immediacy can be answered. Usually we are placed or situated alongside bigger roads. But that's our first strategic pillar. And by now, today, we have 150 stores in Belgium. 50% of it are our own stores, and the other 50% is actually owned by franchisees, which use the Hubo brand, but build their own enterprise, of course. We still have some blank spots on the map, as you can see here, in West Flanders, in Wallonia, and very important also in the Brussels capital region. But we are working on that. We have one store there right now, but we are working on that. The ultimate goal is actually to have a Hubo within 7 kilometers of every consumer. That's the ultimate goal. We will reach that when we have 200 stores. So that's very important to know. And in addition to that, this proximity provides the necessity of immediacy. Of course, it solves the necessity of immediacy. It, for us, also solves the brand awareness for the consumers, because if it's alongside the big roads, alongside every road, close to the consumer, you get a presence in the street, and that presence is felt as trustworthy. So we use that as well to just create some brand awareness. That's the first pillar. The second pillar is assortment. We have a wide range in our stores. That means that we do that actually to absolutely avoid that customers wouldn't find what they need actually and drive to another store. Our stores are mainly, you should look for it when you are in a Hubo next time. Our stores are really completely full of sales space. We actually never or hardly have any warehouses attached to our stores. It's completely stuffed. We have around average 25,000 SKUs in our stores. Big ones could go up to 40,000, 50,000 SKUs. And our racks, for instance, when you look at the picture, they're very close to each other, so we have narrow aisles. So yeah, we can really stuff the store full of these functional products. There's not a lot of decorative material. We do have decorative material, but the most part of it is functional, and that's to actually answer that question that I already talked about a few times. Okay, so this is our background. But times evolve. Only having a physical touch point, it doesn't last. If we would only have a physical touch point right now, we wouldn't have digital presence or online presence. We would be dead by now. I think Sophie talked about the number of visitors on our our website. It's huge, and for us, it's very important as well. So we started building that digital door, as we call it, to our stores years and years ago, so we could communicate with our customers in a digital way. So consumers could orientate themselves and look at the wide range they have, look at what they had to buy, maybe do some marketing towards the customers, but also, of course, sell online, directly online. That's very important. But before I begin into how we are organized, I want to stress that e-commerce for DIY is not the same as for a bookstore or for a fashion business, because we are dealing with different types of products. We actually are dealing with, as we call it, uglies, goods with difficult dimensions. So these goods are, most of the time, of course, are less easy to ship. They have weird dimensions. They are quite big. Most of the time, they're really not that expensive. But therefore, actually, the last mile of delivering at home, most of the time, is less fast or is slower than actually going to the store for the consumers. So if we look at our industry, it is predicted that we could have a share of our revenue of up to 15% in e-commerce. But that's a big difference compared to a lot of other industries which go up to 40, 50, 60 or higher. But it is calculated that we probably can go only up to 15%. So for your information, we are now up to 10% last year. So we are almost there, but still, in comparison to the total revenue we make, it is rather a small share. But nevertheless, we use that digital entrance to build an omni-channel strategy. That's very important. We do not necessarily, and the omni-channel, that's actually our goal. We do not want to shift service from brick and mortar to e-commerce and just switch it, but actually profit from the omni-channel strategy by adding new sales channels and combine them seamlessly for the consumer. That's our main goal. We wanted the customers to have the same experience everywhere, anytime, whatever channel he uses. The consumer must feel our proximity, must notice our large assortment, both in store, both online, and he must notice that at any time. So what did we do? We set up different ordering methods as well as different delivery methods. So for the ordering methods, of course, you have online. We have a fully responsive website for mobile because it is getting bigger, as GFK is mentioning. So we have an online presence, a really big one, and of course, in the store, we also want to include our omni-channel strategy by placing e-corners in every store, and also creating digital shelves. What is a digital shelf? It is let's say, a computer or a tablet next to the assortment, and that digital shelf is focusing only on that assortment, that physical assortment that is in that shelf, but it is extending the product range. So, for instance, if you have sockets, electricity sockets or anything like that, you can only place, let's say, 50 sockets, a range of 50 sockets. Now you will actually provide 80% of the necessity of the consumer with that. 20% needs something else, needs a bigger socket, needs something with a switch, wants another color, and we place digital shelves next to our physical shelves to actually provide the necessity of the consumer. So that's very important. Different ordering methods, but still providing the complete range of the products in store and mobile. And then we have different delivery methods, which we call click and collect. It's a reservation in store, and like Michelle from BPost definitely mentioned, the local store is very important. That's what we notice as well. This channel is a very big channel for us. making reservations online, buying online, but making sure you have it and picking it up when you want to. That's a big one for us. It uses our store's inventory levels. Very important to keep them up to date, of course. We have a different one, which we call a ship to store. It is a similar channel as the click and collect, but actually it's for products that are not present in the stores but can be delivered in the store. It's free of charge. You just have to wait a few days, and then it is present in the store. You can go and pick it up. That's just done to extend the range of products, of course. We got the famous delivery at home, which we talked about a lot. Of course, you can buy stuff that is present in the store or not present in the store. It doesn't matter. It is shipped to your house. And then you got our click and delivery. It is a test that we are doing right now. We call it click and delivery. It is actually a express delivery service where we do the logistics, the fulfillment, as Michelle also mentioned, from our stores, and we just swiftly go and deliver it to the consumer's home. So we organize our express deliveries from our stores. So logistics-wise, regardless of the different combinations in ordering and delivery methods that can be made, these orders have to be processed easily and fast. So we got a lot of combinations: click and collect, ship to store, home delivery, click and delivery, and so on and so on. And we got them being ordered online, we got them being ordered in the store. They all need to be sent to our warehouse, sent to our supplier, sent to our store immediately, and be handled easily as well. So that's a very important one. Next to that, I want to touch, because it wasn't touched before in this summit, but for us, returns is a vital point in our strategy, of course, because we see returns, and returns are always a very difficult endeavor for the organization, because you just have to make sure that a negative experience from your customer is turned around into a very positive experience, and that's not always easy. Because if something is broken or something doesn't fit or anything like that, consumers are never happy. So we have to try and find a way to turn that negative experience around. We did that actually by guiding our customers to our stores immediately, and our stores have actually the people that know everything about the assortment, that can assist the consumer very quickly, and also solve the problem by offering an alternative, because we have that big assortment in our stores. So that's how we mainly handle returns, of course, but it's how we actually turn negative experience into positive experiences. So with that omni-channel strategy, we want to apply that first strategic pillar of proximity also to the digital world. We want consumers to feel our proximity, whatever channel they are using. Next to that, we also wanted to be able to offer an even wider range through our web shops than in our store. Physically, you're always limited by walls, ceilings, and so on and so on. Digitally, you really do not have these boundaries or these limitations. So we are building what we call a marketplace. Of course, not a physical one like on the picture, but a digital one. But actually, it comes down to the same thing. It is a place where merchants can connect and with the customer and offer their products. That's actually what we want to build. And this is how we actually want or going to link our full range or the range of the suppliers to our brand of Hugo. right? So the possibilities here are endless, and we have some big ambitions. We always tell everybody we are going to be the Hubal.com. We are far from it, but we are building it. So we already have 85,000 products online, and then the thing is with this marketplace is that we can easily expand our product range vertically. That means that we can really deep dive into the range we're already selling, for instance, like these electrical sockets or anything like that. Or we can sell more garden sets online that we are selling in the stores and so on and so on. So we can really deep dive, but we can also extend our product range. I would advise everybody to just during Christmas time or the end of the year, just go to our web shop and search for Santa Claus's throne, because we even offer that one, or we sell scooters or anything like that. So we actually try to also expand our range online. Very important one, or very important challenge, of course, is our logistics. How this is all handled. And unlike for many, we actually do not have a centralized DC or anything like that. Our last mile, our logistics is completely done by our suppliers. They do it via a system of drop shipment. And of course, they can use the connections we have with BPost, the contracts we have with BPost and other partners to actually make sure that last mile is done in a qualitative way. So it is that last mile or that logistics is a cooperation between the suppliers and Hubo. That's also what we want to build. It's also what we do for our deliveries in store. It's direct deliveries from our suppliers. So we are in charge of building a web shop. We are in charge of the customer, keeping up the customer level, keeping up the after sales, the image actually, and the supplier is in charge of the logistics and making sure it is packed properly, because we have a wide range like paint. You cannot imagine how much paint we actually bought during the pandemic through the network of BPost. So that is done by the suppliers, and that strategy of doing a drop shipment way and having a marketplace makes us very flexible. We can easily add or change assortment, and that way we can build our future through the strengths we have with our partners, being the logistics, and the strengths we have. It's a proximity, it's a wide range, it's a good website, and it's a strong brand that is trusted by the customer in Belgium. Of course, there's to do this, there has to be a constant interaction. If anybody thinks about doing drop shipments, it's not easy. You have to be in constant interaction with your suppliers, with your last mile partners. Communication is very important, because you'll get a lot of questions about stock availabilities, whereabouts of orders, Wismo questions. Just to name one, Wismo question, the where is my order is 1/3 of the questions we get at our customer service. So it's very important to keep up to date, to have a good data pool, to exchange product data, logistics data about these products. We use GS1. That way, these products and logistic data is always kept up to date by the suppliers themselves, and it's all managed by the rules of GS1. It's very important to keep that up to date, because you'll have a lot of work with the product data, of course, as your assortment grows. You need to keep up for the Wismo questions, so we use a lot of last mile tracking platforms to keep up with the last mile, to communicate to our customers in a proper way where your parcel is. As GFK also mentioned, that is very, very important to always being able to answer that question to consumers. And of course, promising something to a customer that you can't actually achieve because you don't have it in your stock is a really red zone. So we are in constant communication about the stock levels. It's automatically interacting. That's very important because consumers, once they bought and you need to tell them, no, it's not going to happen, it's not going to be there, it's very bad for your image. So these three things are vital to actually have a omni-channel marketplace becoming reality. Okay, but to get back to the strategic pillars, this marketplace actually enables us to expand that second strategic pillar I talked about, the assortment. We are coupling the assortment of our suppliers actually to our brand. Okay, very important one because now I'm looking to the future. And when we look to the future, to what's going to happen and what impacts us as a retailer, unfortunately, we really can't get around this little thing that happened over the past year. It is mentioned a lot of times before, but I was at a webinar last week, and Paul van Wambeke from BPost, he mentioned actually COVID has accelerated e-commerce by 5 years. And I remembered that phrase because we noticed the same thing. We were growing in natural at a steady pace. Every year our e-commerce was booming, click and collect, ship to store, all sales channels were growing at the same pace. The share kept on being the same. But then really COVID has disrupted that natural growth immensely. I think everybody here noticed the same thing, but yeah, we have accelerated by 5 years. To actually maybe illustrate that, during the first lockdown, of course, all the stores had to close. So the only way of servicing our customers was through our home delivery channel. So everything of our sales shifted to home delivery, and we actually grew up to 100 times what we actually sold online. And I'm not lying, it's not 100%, but it's 100 times of what we actually bought through, sold through that channel. So that's a really big one. And so Maggie de Blok, I think she said, blijf in uw kot, but the Belgians clearly understood, renoveer uw kot. And they actually did, as I mentioned, the paint that was sold online. It was never seen before. I think I had a lot of discussions with BPost to keep that packaging well and secured. So, but that channel really grew. And we also saw that our average shopping cart, which was online and especially for e-commerce, especially for home delivery, was quite big. It was around 250 euros averaging a ticket. It decreased up until 132 euros. So that's a big decrease. So as Michelle also mentioned, we saw the same thing. The fear clearly subsided during the corona. The fear of getting things home delivered and really home delivered really went away. People just bought everything online and kept on doing that. That's very important because we still have a high level of home deliveries. We never went back to what we had before. We had a high level, and I think not only young people did this, but also older people started doing that. We had a real combination of ages as we look at that. So everybody started doing that. Everybody started to trust it, because that's the thing with home deliveries, with e-commerce. Once you do it, you will do it again. That's what we saw as well. So stores were closed. Really busy times for the home deliveries, and then the stores actually reopened. But what we saw is we for these sales channels we had, we never went back to what we had before. All remained very high. So also our click and collect, for instance, increased a lot. That was due to the fact that people wanted to probably decrease their presence, their time of presence in the store, because they felt unsafe in the presence of other people. So they went click and delivery, reserving their orders online, just having a shop time of a few minutes instead of averaging half an hour in our stores. So that shifted a bit again from purely home delivery to other sales channels, but the sales channel of e-commerce as a whole remained high, remained the same level. We see that in 2020, we see that in 2021. It's the same level. We increased up to 200% on a yearly basis compared to 2019. So that's a big increase when we look at the e-commerce channel. And what we see is that e-commerce in general takes a much bigger part in our average or in our overall revenue. So that's a trend we see, and that we probably won't see decreasing again, of course. Now, Sophie also mentioned that people are orientating themselves more and more online through their mobile devices as well as through their laptops. That was mentioned as well by GfK. We had 45 million visits in 2021. That's a big number. That makes us place at number 21 in the I think the scoring list of BeCommerce, and we're the first .be website. We have the most visitors in as a web shop of Belgium. The expectations are for 2021 that it will increase likely up to 50 million. So people will use that digital door to orient themselves to buy online, maybe click and collect, maybe that changing channel that we are testing being that express delivery. These are the channels that we see increasing as well. So what we see as well is mobile. Mobile is our biggest channel. Right now, people go online, go to our website through their mobile phone, check our inventory in the store, make reservations, go to the store or look online, see that they can have it delivered before the weekend. They don't even have to go to the store. So, but they are really orienting themselves through their mobile phone and buying as well. Our biggest sales channel is through the mobile phone. So they are also purchasing online. So not only visiting, but also purchasing. So I mentioned, because I'm almost there, but I want to touch 3 more things. It's the express delivery. What we mentioned during Corona is also that people are really, for some things, sometimes they want to wait for the products to arrive a little bit. Sometimes they really need it as quickly as possible, and then they're happy to pay for it. So we actually installed a click and delivery system, an express delivery from the point of sales. We are now testing that in several areas, urban areas, mainly in Brussels, in Ghent, to have that possibility of doing express deliveries, testing that, looking at what is selling the best, how we need to be organized for a last mile, how we can do that, what we need to offer, and so on and so on. What we noticed is that decentralized express delivery is a big benefit and is a big trend. That is what people really want. Also in urban areas, people have less cars, for instance, so having building materials delivered directly to their home for the weekend is very important. People want to pay for that. Another trend that we saw is scarcity. Scarcity that gradually appeared on the market. It's needless to say here that wood, hout is het nieuwe goud, wood is the new gold, building materials that are made of wood. The scarcity actually After the first wave with the big bullwhip effect in China that we saw with the on the container market, it's very difficult to get your products here in Europe. We also had those difficulties, but we noticed that having a lot of alternatives, a wide range, a lot of suppliers offering the same service, quite the same items, actually didn't decrease our conversion rate online. So having a lot of alternatives is very important, especially in this scarcity that we have right now on our market, but also on different markets. It is very important to keep your suppliers flexible and so on and so on. That is a trend that we saw as well, that we needed to focus on. Because as I told, in our sector, having no goods is having absolutely no sales. Most of the time it's now, people need it now, people want to buy it now. So that's the trend we saw. And the last trend is a rather important one as well. These are unprecedentedly busy times in sales in our stores. We saw a growth of more than 20%, up to 30% even in our stores. So yeah, Hubo has grown the last year, but our stores are touch points, but they are selling points. They're not, as I mentioned, storage facilities or decentralized storage facilities. And what we had, and I'm not complaining, but we didn't have quite the good weather during the spring season. Now it is okay, but actually we saw during the spring a lot of sales in that garden furniture, but at the same time we still saw heaters being sold. We still saw a lot of building materials, even pellets or oil to heat your home. So we saw a big mix. Normally we don't have that big mix, but our stores were packed full of inventory, and we didn't want that anymore. So the decision was made to actually move out the inventory of the stores as much as we can. And we are going to do that because a big part of our spring sale is actually our garden furniture. Michel didn't show a nice garden furniture. It's not sold by Hubo. The quality was probably not that good, but nevertheless, okay, the garden furniture is a big one for us, but we are going to shift into a showroom, but don't have any more inventory in the stores, and then we will probably just make a home delivery free of charge for those products, and we're going to test that as soon as possible because we want the inventory out of our stores. And that's a trend as well that we will never see disappear again. So this much for the trends, this much for the Hubo story. I want to thank everybody for listening. If you have any questions, you can always contact me by my email address. It's bart.verbist@hubo.be. So thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you very much, Bart, for this very interesting presentation. We learned a lot, and I definitely keep in mind the last three ones: the express and the scarcity and the seasonality. The shift from inventory to other functionalities of the warehouse. I find it a very inspiring story, and I hope it inspires many others of you. And I'm sure we will knock back on your door, Bart, if we need to bring an interesting case study. So that was really great. And again, we will share this presentation in the accounts of the BeCommerce members and partners. And those who participate and are not members, not partners, can send us an email to obtain the presentation. And we are here rounding up a very interesting summit where we learned a lot and ready for the next move. Again, the acceleration was there. I think it's now very important to consolidate this acceleration, okay? As what Michelle also said, that what is there, we should now definitely, you know, take the necessary actions to keep the pace, you know, and to keep on growing and keep on making our consumers happy and keep on making the ecosystem a very competitive one, you know, where we can stand up and stand strong all together. So if there are any other question or answer, please go ahead. You can put them forward in the chat room, but also definitely contact us later. So I want to thank you all for attending the summit, again, powered by BPost. And I hope to see you back all in one of our upcoming events. I just want to upline, we have next week a very nice webinar that we're doing together with Pay Belgium. It's also a non-profit organization. It's about the authentication, the security, customer authentication in e-commerce context and how you can improve your customer experience. We have already several subscriptions going on, also from big web shops to small web shops, but it's maybe a little bit technical, but I do recommend it because as you all might know, if you're running a web shop, if you're running logistics, if you need to understand very well the issues that are at stake to give more, to take the right action to satisfy your needs or to improve your current state of play. So you will learn a lot definitely on that one. On September 19, I think it's 16. Is it 19? I think it's rather the Thursday. That might be an error from our side. Can you check that, please? There is the mobile summit that will be powered by Adyen, and we will again have our facts and figures disclosed by GfK on the Q2. And we've seen already now some very interesting statements that mobile is, of course, a very important one. So so there will be a lot to say then. So I think it is 16th of September. Victor, if you can change that, it is definitely 16th of September, Thursday. And then we have on the week afterwards, we're holding a webinar on marketplaces on platforms. We are organizing this webinar specifically because we have learned through our Shopping 100, where Hubo was the big champion, that platforms and marketplaces do play a very important place. And here again, we have to catch up some delay comparing to our neighboring countries like the Netherlands and France and Germany. We don't have enough own marketplaces or own platforms. On the other hand, it is also very rewarding to go on a bigger platform, on a bigger marketplace like the Zalandos or the eBays or the bol.coms, because they have a lot of traffic which none of us can create overnight. They have created this traffic because there exists a long time. But that doesn't mean that we don't have to push a little bit our own economy, our own ecosystem. So we will organize on September 23rd a webinar on marketplaces and platforms, which will be powered by Buckaroo, which is a PSP provider, a new PSP provider on the Belgian market. And on October 13, we have, of course, our BeCommerce Awards, where I'm inviting Hubo to definitely participate and compete for the Omnichannel Award. Bart, I think with this kind of presentation, you make definitely a big chance to win. And then we, of course, have the whole month of November, our BeCommerce webinar series. So I hope to see you all back in one of the next events. There is also one remark, but we will send an email later on this. We will put everything again available for all of you. So thank you all again, and thanks again, Michelle, for making this possible, and for the team of JFK, Caitlin and Freya, for this excellent presentation as always, and for Bart for his very inspiring story. So I hope to see you all again sooner or later. Bye bye. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Okay.